우리나라는 식민지도 없었고 기름은 한 방울도 안 나며 국토는 70%가 산밖에 없는 말 그대로 자연환경이나 자원에서는 아무것도 기대할 게 없는 나라입니다. 이런 나라는 도대체 어떻게 이렇게 성장하여 세계에서 큰소리치는 강대국이 되었을까요? 이 질문에 대한 대답을 미국 펜실베니아 대학교의 샘 리처드 교수가 간단하면서 창의적인 방식을 이용하여 강의에서 답을 알려줬습니다.
So, Korea is one of the most educated countries in the world. And we often talk about populations of people who are 25 to 34. And that's because, you've had enough time to get through college. And we're not including older generations who are much less likely to go to college. This is like a really pivotal years when we talk about wanting to understand how educated a country is. So look at Korea. About 70% of Koreans aged 25 to 34 have 4-year college degrees. No, just hold that. 70%. And the U.S. is 40%. And there's another certain percentage of people in the U.S. that have 2-year degrees, but 40% versus 70%. And then look at Germany, Saudi Arabia. I put Saudi Arabia because there are so many Saudis in here. And China, Nigeria. Look at this. So what do you do? How do you get there? What's going on in Korea with education? And what's it mean? And so this is what I want to talk about this today. So we're going to have some, one final thing. So Leah, you said something about that. Can we talk about these? Tell people what these hagwons are. What is this? Any of you can jump in, but can we talk about the cram schools? Who wants to take this?
Okay, so hagwon is like academic lessons that students take after school. It may be just tutor or just normal lessons from another professionals. So, Koreans are they're really into education. So going to more than 3 hagwons per day or maybe 5, it's really normal for Koreans.
To add on, there are districts of hagwons. So there are different districts within Seoul, and some of them there are hagwons populated within the district. So the street would be full of buildings, and within the building there will be full of hagwons, for math, science, English, foreign languages. There will be hagwon for literally anything, any subject you can think of.
Okay, so hang on. So let's be clear here. You go to school. You wake up in the morning. You go to school. Then you have lunch, and you go to afternoon school. Yeah? That's your regular school, which is already longer than in most places in the U.S., right? What's the average school day in Korea? How many hours, basically?
So normally it starts at 8, I think, and then ends at 3 afternoon. So that's only school. And
Okay,
then,
so everyone goes to school, right? Okay. So, all right, go ahead.
And then after school, when I was in middle school, I went to 2 or 3 hagwons. It's basically line tutoring, at line tutors. But in some tutoring, if you get, they test you. And then if you don't get high scores, they don't send you home. So
wait, so you get locked into a hagwon?
So basically a few days I couldn't go to home, in the 3 or 4 in the morning.
Wait, so you're paying, your parents are paying for this, right? Your parents pay for this. The hagwons you pay for.
Yeah.
Right?
$300, $400 a month.
Okay. And it could be a lot more. If you have a lot of money, obviously you're going to pay a lot of money. Okay, wait, and so then how long might you stay at a hagwon? So after school, like it's 3 o'clock, you would go directly to the tutoring? Or would you go home first? Or like, well, how do you do what?
Yeah.
And then you go.
Yeah.
What's the latest people stay at Hagwon? Like what then until when?
Like, so basically 2 or 3 in the morning maybe, but the thing is, during my middle school years.
Well, wait, hang on, man, dude. Did anyone's brain just do what my brain did? And say dude, did yours do that? Like the whole? Because he just said 2 or 3 in the morning. Dude, did you really? Okay, okay, talk about that a little bit, man. First off, how are you guys sitting here? But go ahead, right?
So, during my middle school year, the law got changed. Hagwon cannot, hold students until like 10 o'clock. So, basically, every Hagwon should end at 10 o'clock. But, there's the other way. They get apartments in the private, and then they collect students. And then they hold students until like 2 or 3 in the morning. So basically, law doesn't mean anything.
Wait, hang on. Can someone, Junho, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so there was a restriction from the government not to like block students until 10 p.m. So Hagwons, they started to gather people at real like private places like Do-hyung mentioned, or some Hagwons, they opened at 4 a.m. So like students would wake up at 3 a.m. and start their Hagwon at 4 a.m.
Before they go to school?
Yeah, before they go to school, because the regulation, like they can't stay until Hagwon for 10 p.m. So
they start early?
Yeah, they started early.
Did you do Hagwons?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
So like in general, like most of like those like cram schools, they ended around like 9 or 10 p.m. But like if you're like a really competitive student, and if you're like one of those like students, you go to like specific cram schools that open up until like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then when you're like done with those cram schools, you go to a place called 독서실, which is like a place to study. It's like similar to the library, but like everyone's very focused, concentrated, no one talks.
Wait, and how old are we talking here?
So like when I was like in middle school, like to high school, I did the same routine over and over. So
Wait,
I'm basically talking about my like.
Okay, so so I want to be clear here. So those numbers up there, 83% of about 83% of Korean 5-year-olds go to Hagwons. And about 36% of Korean 2-year-olds go to Hagwons. Right? 2-year-olds, man. Dude, so we're not talking 2-year-olds aren't going 5 days a week till 2 in the morning. I mean, on the average, this was one particular study. The average is like, like 2 sessions a week. And for 5-year-olds, it's like 50-minute sessions 5 days a week. But the point is, you're doing tutoring. Everyone, 83%, dude, y'all, this is 83% of the Korean population. And here's what would happen. I just want to be clear about something. If 70% of American 25 to 34-year-olds had college degrees, trust me, you all would be going to Hagwons also, because you'd be competing. As it is, when you graduate from Penn State, you have the idea, okay, you're going to find a job. But if you were competing with twice as many people with college degrees here or back home, wherever you're from, if you're not from the United States, you'd be tutoring. You'd be like trying to elevate get your game together, man.
지금까지 월드 내비게이션이었습니다. 오늘도 끝까지 시청해주셔서 정말 감사합니다. 여러분들의 구독과 좋아요는 컨텐츠 제작에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 감사합니다.